great, helpful alumni here today, so welcome everybody. Our purpose is to share the feedback with our coaches and mentors from both our second year cohort as well as alumni, and the intention is to help you create really successful final versions that you can then bring to your method team process, and I think really to help you take your learning deeper. And I think our coaches and mentors here tonight will do a nice job of describing in their own words. I'm going to ask you to describe in your own words your experience and your thoughts on this process. And we'll meet you all, the coaches, we'll go through the assignment information, review the drafts, and have any Q&A. We'll go to next steps, which will focus on the method maps, and our mentors and so forth will be able to hang around if they're willing to hang around to give some guidance and coaching, or they may wish to depart, those that need to leave. And so we've got a group of people here. We've got John, Sarah, Terry, and Doug, and another John Spalding. We got Kim and Kim, and as you can see, and Kim will be here a little bit later, so we'll probably go in this order in terms of reviewing the drafts, and each person will just give the screen to you if you're able, and you pull up the draft and kind of walk through and talk through both of them, or the one or the two or the three that you might have. So let's do a quick introduction. And again, thank you very much to all of you for being helpful to the students. But personally, I am most excited or appreciative and hopeful for a program when I see this sharing of knowledge and expertise from John. You've been with the program for how long? When did you graduate?
John Hine, 2006.
Yeah, John Hine. And actually John Spalding before you. Sarah's in the second year, and Terry is too. Doug is as well. And Kim Fleshman and Kim Kirkham have both graduated in previous years. So this is just a really great gift that you all are giving to the students, and I love seeing this as part of our learning community. So John, you see the questions there, and what I'm thinking is for all of you out there in the chat room, for the students, could you take a minute to answer these questions? As we're listening, maybe you could take a second to just pick one or two of these parts in here, the ones that speak to you the most, and maybe also what's your question you're most curious about that would be helpful to you in your assignment. So maybe pick some things in here to reflect on, to tell us a little bit about you that most speaks to you as our first year student, as well as what's the question you bring tonight that if answered would be most helpful to you. And as we're doing that in the chat room, we'll have a chance to hear from our coaches and mentors here as well. So John, why don't you answer those three questions there and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Will do, thanks. And just as an FYI, if something pops up on the chat room, Steve, that is directed to me, if you could let me know. I don't have access to the chat room.
Okay.
Anyway, my name's John Hine, as Steve indicated, or as I indicated. I graduated in 2006, and I work for Conagra Foods. We're based in Omaha, Nebraska. We make what we call the food you love, and we do that in extraordinary ways each and every day. And you may know us by our brands of Hunt's, Orville Redenbacher, Chef Boyardee, Banquet, the pretzels you buy in Costco, Kirkland, or if you eat a McDonald's French fry, an Arby's French fry, a Burger King French fry, or a Wendy's French fry, there's a good chance that it is one of our products. We have a commercial, consumer, food service, and private brand side to our business, and we're about 38,000 people. My role is of change within the organization. I'm the Senior Director of OD here at Conagra, and I would have to say that my passion is ever-changing. That might be a cop-out answer, but it changes with the roles that I get to play. I think my passion, therefore, would be change, both in helping drive it within the organization, as well as finding a variety of roles that I can play within an organization. So it keeps me fresh, it keeps my day fresh, it keeps my career fresh, and it provides me the opportunity to have empathy with what people are going through as they kind of balance and move through change. My approach to it has always been one of collaborative with a collaborative focus. So I think we can get more done as a collective if we drive open, honest dialogue and really get to the root or the difficult conversations that we need to have and understand where everybody's coming from as a result of, or as a foundation for whatever change effort is underway. I think it's important to articulate this concretely, because I think there's a sense of belief that we have to have as we go into our profession. So I would recommend that you, as students of the OD profession, look for that thing that you really want to hang your hat on, not so that you can use it as the same tool each and every time, but so that you can rely on it, and so that you can be viewed with a sense of depth or expertise in a particular area. So that would be my advice there. Reaction to the mind map assignment: it's a neat assignment. I enjoyed the paper that I read. It was JJ Lenza's paper. Enjoyed it. I'm not sure if she goes by or he goes by JJ or whatever, but we'll get into that. But as an interesting assignment, the mind map is a great tool. I've used them myself in the process. So hopefully you're finding the opportunity, and I got a sense that JJ got a good exposure to the assignment, and through that came through with a new tool that they can use once they're through school or day to day. So maybe that was a little long, but that's who I am. So.
No, I think it's really helpful, John, because I think for our students just starting in the program, hearing through your eyes what you all are doing out there, I think encourages them and gives them that beacon, that hopeful light at the end of the tunnel, and why this is important. So, and I'm curious, why do you keep coming back and being so helpful? I personally love hanging out with you, and I think you're just a cool dude. But,
well, the answer is easy. You ask, so.
Yeah. Why would you say yes? Because you're so busy, and I think this is a part of our learning community. I think this is what makes us strong as a program. That's one of the best in the world.
Yeah. Well, I would agree, and to answer that quickly, I mean it sincerely. I do it because you ask, and I think that there are a lot of giants that we get to stand on, and I think giving back is the least we can do. And I'm by no means a giant in this profession, and I think I learn something from it each and every time I come back too. So if it's not about me, it's about something else, or it's a tool or a tip that I pick up through listening. So I appreciate the chance to be here.
There might be a few people out there that are in protest groups or in other types of groups that are saying that ConAgra is taking over the world, but hey, that's another thing.
The world of food.
Yes, I would say. So, and John, thank you so much for being here, and Sarah, thank you for making the time too. So why don't you take her away? You came to our first call. You have already been giving up your time as a second-year student, so I'm very appreciative of that. And share with us a little bit about you with these questions.
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you great.
Great. So I'm Sarah Suntimer. I actually just started a brand new position 3 days ago. I'm now a change management consultant in the Columbus area, working with IT project management teams. And I have to say that it is my passion. I'm really excited about the change management work, especially that the company I've just joined is doing. My approach to change, I've taken a real interest in terms of emotional intelligence and why we have to really think about the emotional factors of change. I also am really passionate about making sure everything's in alignment, making sure that your HR systems would support mission statements and support how we reward and recognize people on the floor, et cetera, et cetera. My reaction to the mind map assignments, I kind of embraced the chaos, which is unusual for me. I typically like structure, but with this assignment, I don't know, I kind of embraced the freedom and creativity that comes with it. I was never afraid. Dr. Katie was pretty supportive, and so I sort of embraced it the way I interpreted it and had a great time. I really felt I learned the methods the 8 that I talked about. And I think that was the best takeaway. And, while you're affinity diagramming, especially, learn those methods, really take this opportunity to understand through those 6 lenses, what are these about? How are they different? What can you do? How would you use them? So that would be me. Hi.
Thanks, Sarah. And Terry, you too are coming back and giving some time very quickly. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'm Terry Vetter, and I'm a training program manager for the state of Ohio. And I bring to the state 17 years of HR experience specializing in training. But what I kind of realized as I was going through the classes, I've been looking for OD for a long time. So I'm very excited about seeing some of the models that form that foundation that John referred to earlier, that is our presence in OD. So my passion is presenting information in a manner which turns that light bulb on for people so that they want to engage with the people around them, form those solid teams, and really enable that change within their organization. My method, or my method itself, was actually building off of something in the Change Handbook called Values Division, and I like how it starts to permeate throughout the organization, building from that individual level, expanding into that sense of that group or that team, and then enabling the whole of the organization. In terms of my mind map, I love the activity. I really got a lot out of it, especially in terms of how it helped me gel on the different elements that are my fundamentals that I draw on as a facilitator. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Terry. And Doug, thank you.
Sure. I'm Doug Duttweiler. I am HR Director for Gojo Industries in Akron. Gojo is a maker of hand hygiene products, soap and dispensers. You'll see them in public restrooms and so on. We're actually the first company to create a portion control dispenser for soap. We also are the makers of Purell, inventors and makers of Purell, which really created the whole hand hygiene market. So I work in the Human Resources Organization Development Department. I've been sort of dipping my toe in the OD side for several years and decided to actually pursue it more, and so that's why I'm in the program. My passion, I would say, is in the area of sustainability and how OD methods can be applied to sustainability. So getting companies to reduce waste, improve yield, those kind of things is what I'm looking to do. My approach to change has been really a collaborative, high involvement approach, getting a lot of people involved, teams working on different approaches, and really taking complex systems and simplifying them to easily understand and make improvements. My reaction to the mind map assignment last year was probably similar to Sarah's. I really wanted structure, but at some point I just gave up and said I'm just gonna, I think we called it swim in the goo, just kind of enjoy where you are and learning all of these different methods and not really knowing where it takes you. And I had a really good time with that part of the assignment, trying to figure out the patterns, connect some patterns that happened within the methods that we were studying. And you know, I think to get the most out of the assignment, it's just there are no right answers necessarily. So just learn what you can, and you know, take the time to swim in the goo and learn the methods thoroughly. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. And John Spalding, another old timer. Thanks for coming back, and thanks for always being helpful like you have been over the last several years, along with John.
Yep, no problem, Steve. Thanks for having me. Hi, class. Hi, everybody else. Some great introductions. And I really am inspired at everybody coming back and building that community that Steve talked about in the beginning. So I appreciate you guys all being here. I graduated from the program in 2002. We didn't do the method mind map affinity diagramming portion of it. We did do the create your own model. It was a little bit different back then, but I have used the affinity diagramming process several times since then. I didn't answer number one. I'm John Spalding. I work with Dr. Katie on writing the Digital First Principles of Management course book with him and various other projects such as Nexus for Change. I work kind of behind the scenes doing a lot of that work. My approach to change, I had the pleasure of doing probably about a 1-year in-person internship and a practicum with Kathy Dannemiller and another and a practicum with her and Roland Loop on her methodology, whole scale change, with my business partner Jeremy Brandstaff, who I'm sure you guys will meet this semester. And so that's the method that I know the most about. But with being as involved in the program as I have been over the last 5 to 6 years, I know graphic facilitation, which the person whose paper I read is really inspired by that as a process, or at least that was one that jumped out to her. I'm really fond of the benefits of graphic facilitation, and seeing that grow as a method is something that I would say definitely interested in. As far as the assignment, what you can do is what everybody's already said. Make the connections that are meaningful to you. Take it as a chance to step out of your comfort zone and use that information to be creative and kind of take your learning where you want it to go, and find those deeper connections between the methods and between the theory and the background and the research of large group interventions or whole systems change.
Thank you, John. And Kim, I believe Kim Kirkham might be here.
Yes.
No. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Welcome, and thanks for making time to be here. I was really talking about how great it is to have such committed alumni and the commitment to help coach and teach and build our learning community. And so thank you for making the time. And tell us a little bit about yourself through these 3 questions that you see here on the screen.
Yeah. Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me, class. I am Kim Kirkham. I'm a nurse, and I wanted more in my job, so I went to school at BG to get the MOD. And initially, I started off after graduation as an OD consultant for a healthcare company. And my passion is absolutely patient care. Whether it's nursing or patient care, I really like that aspect. And I thought this OD would help me bring positive change to the healthcare workforce. And the funny thing is that John talked about the roles that he plays at ConAgra, and at one point I had to play as a nurse while I was an OD consultant. And everybody there was like, you should be a nurse. I'm like, I am a nurse. So it's just kind of funny. It is my passion is change and patient care. My approach to change is, face it head on, take it as it comes, and realize that every change happens for a reason. And in this paper, it's like everybody says, swimming in the goo. Writing and doing all these new creative things was a big challenge for me. And I think after reading the papers, people are, kind of thinking the same thing as, can I do this? Am I on the right track? And just remember that it's challenging you more than you realize at the time. And you're going to walk away with a whole lot more than you realize. At the time you're wondering, is it all worth it? And is this going to help me? And by the time you're done, you realize it's kind of totally transformed you in the process of learning about transformation in the workplace. So I found it to be a very valuable program. And it's important to be able to take the change to your work area and be that person that is not afraid to help assist other people in grasping the reason for the change, and just being a supportive individual, I guess, is how I kind of took it with me in my workplace. Reaction to the mind map assignment, I think it was really, really valuable and something new. Again, I have not worked with this type of thing before the EMOD program, and I actually used it in the EMOD program to finish my assignments. Every single class I would make a mind map and put out, all the assignments that were due, the papers that were due, the due dates, and it really helped me focus on breaking down the assignments so they were manageable. So I think getting the most out of everything is, I don't know, I think the connection and knowing all you are working for the same goal is to graduate and to learn the most and get these assignments underway, but actually learning from them and applying them as you go, which is pretty significant. By the time you get out, it's just very rewarding. So hang in there. You're doing a fantastic job. And that's all I have to say.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Kim. And Kim Fleshman will be here soon, and we'll include her as we go. And we've got the assignment now, and we're all now familiar with the assignment, and it's pretty much straight there in front of us because of reviewing or recently doing and those kinds of things. And I want to emphasize two pieces here. The thing that we most notice in the world around us, the things that we pay attention to and notice, typically are connected to things that are most important to us, relevant to our history, things that we care about, and so forth. So what I want you to notice as you are doing the mind map assignment, it's actually a mirror for you. These are great methods from people that have established themselves and are doing really good work in the world. So these are really tried and true frameworks. And so where you get turned on, where you get most excited, what you notice in the patterns is really a clue to you about what you care about. It's a clue to you about what's your implied, your embedded, intuitive approach to change. So the mind map assignment is beginning to help you take that which is in you and bring it out in a more formal or more concrete fashion, which will help you be more confident as you go. So that's the intention of the assignment. And this today is about the draft. So our guests here, our mentors and coaches for you all, this is their first step. They're going to take this feedback and go one level deeper with it. So the intention for your feedback is really to highlight where they've done well and also give them suggestions on where they can take it deeper or further. And in terms of time, I'm thinking that you want to take about 3 minutes each to 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And then in the chat room, if the students, if you could chat with the person. Now with John Hine, for your two people, I'm going to ask that you all go into the chat feature on GoToWeber on the control panel, John, and you click on chat. Okay. And in there, you could just send a little note to your two people and say, hey, it's me, John, and you can send it privately or to everybody, but you can send it to them, and they can send back to you. And you can chat in the chat room there. And I think Terry Vetter had the same issue, so the person that Terry, the people, where you're providing feedback, will use the chat room for you to get feedback in there with your people. So what we want to do is get the 3 minutes, but as you're thinking and listening for you all out there to save time, use the chat room to provide your questions. And then after we're done, John, you go to the chat room and then have a conversation with them in there, clarifying and adding to. And you can hit all, reply to all or those kinds of things so people can hopefully see some of it. It's a little bit clunky in there, but at least you two will be able to converse and give each other information. And we have, this is the pairing. So John, you've got JJ, so you and JJ can converse in the chat room in the GoToWebinar control panel. And why don't you go ahead and take it away, John, and give JJ some of your thoughts, and then we'll move to Sarah next.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. And I had equal difficulty in getting in to do the editing within the document. So JJ, what I can do is, if you bear with me, I can get this scanned and I'll email it to you since your email is right on here. I'll send you the document with all of my chicken scratch on it. And hopefully you can read it, and if you can't, you can give me a call and we can work through it. Overall, so I have kind of 3 things I like and 3 things that I think you should think about relative to improving. So in the interest of time, I'll kind of dive right into it. First of all, I enjoyed the read. There's a lot of thoroughness to it. I think you spent a lot of time describing the steps that you took, which was nice to know. Kind of the methodical process that you went through around it. I liked your summary in the beginning relative to what you were going through. I love your graph and the process the metaphor that you've created for people to think about. I liked the use of Evernote. I thought that gave you a great opportunity to work and be flexible, or work in a flexible way. Plus, you save a lot of trees that way. And you're right, as you summarized, many times those sticky notes drop and they get moved, and then you end up starting all over again, or you end up wasting more tape taping them all down than you really care to. But I thought your use of Evernote was a clever and unique idea, and I would expand upon that. Continue to develop that, because you'll find more opportunity to do that. And as a consultant or as someone who travels in their job, you're going to want to be able to take that stuff on the road, so you're not chained to your desk or chained to a space where that content is. Couple of things to think about relative to improvements overall. While I like the fact that you kind of gave me the process that you went through, I'd really like to know more about what you learned as you went through that process. What were you challenged by? What were the things that you really felt challenged you, or that caused you to think and created a new learning space for you? Really getting into what I said was the why, and what was the purpose behind it, and what did it make you think about as it relates to the next step that you took, or what you wrote down on your mind map. That would have been very helpful, and I think that's the juice that you really need to get to in going through this exercise, because that's what's going to drive this deeper into you. You'll understand the power of the tool and the use of that tool if you can kind of think a little bit deeper about what it's bringing out for you. The other thing I would ask is, you've got some great graphics in here, but I couldn't read any of them. They were just too small, and I even tried blowing them up on my computer screen, and it was just too small for me to read, so I didn't get a chance to really enjoy the mind map that you did, because I just simply couldn't read the graphic. And the things that you had on Evernote, I couldn't see how you had classified them again, because they were the printing or the graphic was so small that it made it very difficult. You might think about taking those and kind of separating them out a little bit and putting them within your document as opposed to all on the appendix, and maybe wrapping the text around it, or positioning them as figures within the context as a means of helping. So again, explain the how and the why of each of the methods that you chose, why you chose them, why you feel they're important to you, and try to get that down on paper. It will really, really help you understand the power of each of those tools. So again, I apologize for not being able to make these comments in your document, but I do have my handwritten notes, and I will scan this in and I will email it to you. I've been traveling, so I didn't have a chance to do that here before today, and I'm actually going to be traveling tonight and tomorrow, but I will get that to you as soon as I can.
Great. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. And in the chat room, you two can go ahead and maybe elaborate a little bit more, and JJ provide some questions to John, and you two can have a discussion in the chat room on the control panel for GoToWebinar. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and I'm going to make you a presenter so you're able to show your screen. I kind of halfway got there with John, so hopefully this will work this time.
Okay.
It should ask you. There you go. Great. Take her away.
Am I up?
Yep.
All right, so I have two. I'll start with Carrie. Is Carrie in the chat room, just out of curiosity? Let's see. Is Carrie in there?
Don't
All right. Well, so okay,
see-
I'll tell you all about Carrie.
okay.
So Carrie's mostly just consisted of pictures of her affinity diagram and her mind map, and I get it. We were all in different places at drafts last year as well. So what I can make comments on is just where I think she's going. First is I'm really excited. Like I want to know more about which 3 methods she chose. From this graphic, it's hard to even read which other 3. So if you are going to do a draft with just pictures of the affinity diagramming, which is a lot of work, so I'm not discounting that all of this is a lot of work, but perhaps do close-up pictures as well so I can see, like I said, what they were. The ones I can read are the ones that I think were assigned to you by Dr. Katie, with the exception of whole scale change. So I think these are the other 2 she picked, and I don't know what they are. So I'm eager to find out what they are, and then of course why. So then I see it all coming together a little bit more. Oh, and I said, I like her handwriting. So, there's clearly some creative stuff happening here. There's interesting letters, and there's kind of clouds. And, I just wonder, when you get down to the mind map, you can kind of see that same imagery. So one of the questions I have, there is some I consider putting in close-up pictures. There's a ton of detail in this mind map. There's a lot of stuff. So again, zoom in, show sections of it off at a time. And then my other comment was about the imagery, right? So I like the design. I want to know what it means. Is it is it flowers? Is it clouds? Is it just pretty pictures? But carry that through, right? So is that a theme? If you're going to have it, make sure that's intentional design. Or maybe you don't know what it means yet. And then I would encourage you to kind of think about it. Ask yourself, why was I drawn to that? Why was I drawn to these shapes or these colors? What does it say about me? My mind map I did in an ink pen on the back of an old piece of cardboard I was going to recycle. So it, but that's because I'm kind of a hippie and I don't like to waste things. So why this, right? So ask yourself why that's coming out. And so that's all there is to it. Again, I know these are drafts, but so those are the notes I would give on that one. I then also had Beth and so some of my notes here. There's a few times in the paper that Beth mentions doing additional research and doing a lot of reading on the methods, but I didn't see any of that referenced or nuanced. I didn't catch it in this heading. I read through the paper a second time, and I caught it again up here. I saw it in the conclusion as well. So if you're going to put that hook out there, I want to hear more about it. And then, so this very first sentence, like right off the bat, I get it, and I know that we kind of say when organizations have to change, but I just kind of wrote, consider rephrasing. All of a sudden I perceive a very negative tone. It's really change or die, which as an OD person who's going to do change management, of course, we want them to understand that they do need to change, that it is imperative, but kind of you will not survive. I don't know. And maybe that's just me, and maybe you wanted to have that tone. My perception. The phrase either to me or for me is used a lot in this paragraph. I would just consider alternative ways of staffing. They were chosen by me, or they were interesting to me. It was known to me. Just take a look at that, and I would recommend cleaning that up. And then, you kind of talk about these appeal to me. Elaborate on that. Why did they appeal to you? Why were they interesting? The word interesting isn't actually very interesting. What was it about it? So I'm looking, again, I know it's early, I know it's a draft, I know this is an assignment that can really take a lot out of people. So I'm looking forward to you expanding on the details when you get to the methods and really talk about them more. Okay, I love office supplies as well, Beth. But I would encourage you, kind of like I said with the design in the last one, take this love of Post-it notes a step further. Again, what does the process say about you as a change leader? Because there's a lot of talk about how careful you pick them out and what colors and what even writing utensil you used in them. So I would go ahead and say, did that work for you? Why did it work for you? Why was the color matter? Like, take that, ask yourself why. I think it's probably a little bit more than just I like Post-its, but what did that particular process do for you? Because you talk a lot about Post-its. And again, okay, so I said again, think beyond the office supplies. Why was this a natural process? You talk about, so up here, affinity diagram felt very natural. Why did it feel natural? How could this creativity and freedom translate into whole systems change? Ideas for you. So then we see the mind map, and I like that you used a tool. I have that same app in Google Chrome, so I haven't used it yet, so it was nice to see that being used. And so when I got to the conclusion, I was a little bit confused. It seemed like this is very clearly a conclusion to the draft and not a conclusion to the assignment. So just think ahead to the paper. What does the conclusion of this assignment look like? I read it and it kind of seemed like an explanation to where your draft was and how far along you were. And I just thought, well, what though did you learn about the methods? What did you learn about the process? And this conclusion didn't say that to me, so I'll admit the conclusion threw me a bit. But at the same time, you made a great link here, so don't lose that process statement, because you really talked about, oh, this is probably how change people feel. That's great. Everything about these last two sentences, I said, is fantastic. And that's the game. That's me. So again, nice starts. I can't wait to hear more. I look forward to seeing your final.
Great. And
oh my God. Thanks,
Beth
Dr. Kate.
Beth, thank you, and thank you so much for taking the time. And in the chat room, Beth is in there, so you could, Beth, give some feedback to Sarah. Let her know what your reactions are to the feedback she provided. What questions or what are you curious about? And where could she possibly elaborate? And those kinds of things. So take a minute to go on in there and chat with each other. And we're going to go to Terry, and I'm going to take the screen over to you, Terry. To in here. Presenter. And Terry, take her away.
So I have two people. The first I'm going to review is Chris Shepard. And I got two documents from Chris, and both of them seem to be variations of the mind map. So if I missed another document, Chris, I truly apologize. You can send it to me afterwards, and I am very happy to look at additional information that you have prepared. But when I first opened this, I was very intrigued by the image I see, because I saw the flowing lines, and immediately it brought to my mind the image of a river, or it could also be wings. But I was very intrigued by it and really wanted to see what else was there to go with this. So in terms of the design element that I see in front of me, what's working is that it captures my attention. What's not working is there's no reference for like what the colors mean or what the model goes to. The second mind map is this one, and then I could see that there was a lot of coding that you had done here, but I didn't know what did the coding relate to, and did the colors mean anything either. I should have given a disclaimer at the beginning. If anybody feels like Sarah and my comments are very similar, I just want to say she and I did not collaborate prior to this, even though we are now in the same city. But it was interesting hearing Sarah's comments and feeling like, oh, I was going to say that too. So anyway, so those were my reactions to the design elements that I saw. Additions that I'd like to suggest. Tell me a little bit more about the three methods that you picked for yourself, because it tells me something about you and who you are and your personal view of the OD profession. I'm also very interested in seeing what does your affinity diagram look like, as well as you pull all this together and put it into the paper, how do you start talking about it, and how do you start presenting your ideas and your beliefs in a manner that really gets you thinking about what this means to the profession, or how you will do your work within the OD profession. In terms of modifications, I am very eager to read your report so I can know more about the meaning of the flowing lines. That really grabs my attention, and I can't wait to see more. Suggestions for your model. As I looked at draft 1, which is this one that I saw, I see it starting kind of up at the upper left-hand side of the page and taking my eye down through the lower right. When I look at draft 2, I kind of see stuff kind of hanging around the top, but that very deep list of items takes me kind of down to the bottom left and then back up to the upper right. So it's almost like the model is going in two different directions. And so my recommendation is anytime you're building a model and adding to that model, make sure that it stays consistent as you build on it, so people kind of see, oh, here's what I already know, and now here's the piece that I'm adding to it. So those are my my comments for Chris. I don't have your email, Chris, but if you want to send me that in the chat room, and I'm not in the 99 chats, but if you want to send it to me or send me an email to receive later, I'll be glad to forward my comments to you, as well as take a look at anything else you have going on. Then the second person I have is Judson. And Judson, I have this on page 6 of your document already, because when I get to that point, there's something I want to point out here. But just thinking about the design elements of your report, I really like, as I look through it, that you have a clear sense of where you are in your learning process. These are I can kind of see how you've kind of played around in the goo for a while, and in the process of doing so, you've made new connections for yourself, and you really talked about that during your paper. Something to think about in terms of your design elements, as you move towards your method, really mold your method around those 6 design elements that you talk about, because really getting a handle on those in this assignment really sets the stage for what you'll be doing a year from now. But I think you're also well on your way. Additions I'd like to see. At the end of the paper, I saw the affinity diagram, but I'm looking forward to seeing your mind map, as well as I'm really eager to know more about your personal beliefs. Some of the comments that I've put into the PDF, you can open those up later, but a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm very interested in what you're saying, but add some detail, give me some more richness, and really take me down that path and show me and reveal to me what your ideas are. In terms of modifications or changes, I suggest that you read the paper out loud so you can start to catch some of the extra words that might be in your paper. And I know I run into this myself. I type something in, and then later I make some edits, and sometimes some extra words are kind of hanging in there I didn't anticipate. So read it out loud and make sure you catch all of those. And as I saw some of them, I tried just to note them so you know to take them out. And then suggestions for making the model market ready. Continue to access your personal intuition as you build your visual as well as cohesive model. So, you know, start to translate your paper into a visual that might fit. I like to think in terms of a PowerPoint, just in terms of it's something that you can show to people and it walks them through the process, but it might also just as readily fit on a flip chart, in that it's something that you can very easily draw out and really walk people through where you are, as well as what that personally means to them. So making that model visual as well as cohesive, so it flows one piece to the next. So I have your email address on the front of your paper, Judson, so I will forward this PDF to you so you can read the specific notes on the within the PDF. The one that I really wanted to share here was, I like this statement about your affinity diagram and how it moves and connects with the mind map in terms of seeing and expanding upon the relationships. So it showed to me that you can see how these are useful in and of themselves, but also how they work together to take you to new insights. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Terry. And if you want to, head on over to the chat room in the GoToWebinar control panel and send your reflections or reactions to the feedback from Terry to her, and Terry, you can kind of send them a note maybe and just say hi and see if there's any follow-up questions and reactions they might have. And again, thank you, Terry, very much for your time in helping the students. And we're going to move to Doug, and Doug, I'm going to get you the screen. Okay. There you go. Screen's now for you, Doug, and take her away.
Okay, I have Stephanie and Chris, and I'm going to start with Stephanie. Stephanie really had a real good draft here. All of the elements are here and addressed very well. The executive summary, I think, meets all the elements. I'm going to skim quickly to the affinity diagram piece. This part, I think, I felt like I was there as I read it. I could follow the process that you went through to do this. I think it kind of took me there and was very well written and so on. I would just say the only thing is I didn't see anything addressing, what didn't work well, and if there's anything that you would change in, kind of reflecting back, what would you do differently, what would you change, and why would you change it? On the actual mind map, I had a little bit of a hard time following the mind map. And I think if you could take this and put it in the appendix and make it bigger, it would help. But I really loved, how she explained the process that she went through in creating the mind map, and especially what she determined as her non-negotiable elements, or those personal principles for change. And she went through each one of them, and I really love that. I think that's a great thing that she really made the connections and saw the patterns in all of the different methods, and really did a good job of outlining each one of the methods and what she learned and so on, and then boiled it down to here's my non-negotiables. The only thing I would say on the non-negotiables is I got a little confused at the difference between two of them. One of them was engagement. Number 4 was engagement. Number 5 was involvement. And you actually put a quote in there about involvement means engaging people in their own system. So I would just say, define that more clearly. What is the difference that you're calling out between involvement and engagement? Give some examples or whatever of what the differences are. Like Carrie said, I would say, I know what work it is to get to this point in your draft, and I would say, you're almost there, but there are a lot of grammatical errors or spelling errors that won't be caught by spell check. So where a word is a word, but it's just not calling out as misspelled. So read it out loud to yourself, and you should be able to catch those. I didn't make the changes in here or the comments in the actual PDF, but I did write them out so I can scan it and I can email that to you, Stephanie. But I would say overall, there were a lot of great elements in this. I think you did a really good job with the debrief and the conclusions and so on as well about what you learned and how you can use it and applying it to your job. The references were all very good. The appendix with the affinity diagram, I'm going to try to get to that. I think Sarah was talking about it, and you probably have these torn down already, but anytime you can get a close-up of, I'm intrigued by what's on those Post-it notes and in the process that you went through, but I can't really read this. So if you still have it, you can get some closer-up pictures, that would be helpful. But overall, I think you've got a really good start here. You're close on it, I would say. There's just, I know from my experience, last year I got to a point where I didn't want to look at it anymore, but it would have been really helpful had I looked at it one more time and cleaned up some of my grammatical errors. So really nice job. Chris, I would say, has a very rough draft. So he does have a start on an executive summary, but other than that, he's got things pretty much in bullet points. He's got all the elements there for requirements of the paper, reminding him to do it, and then a bullet point. I wouldn't say that I could really drive anything out of it necessarily, other than, it's a reminder that he's got to do some more work here. I would say in the section here on the whole-scale change methods, I could say you could go a little deeper and say, how each one of these things work. This is just a real brief summary of what's going on. And I guess my overall theme of all of this is keep asking yourself how. So even when you talk about how it can be used at your job, how will you apply it at your job? What can you pull away from the methods and so on? As I said, I know it's a rough draft. I would challenge you to be creative in the presentation of your mind map. The actual mind map I couldn't really read. This was the mind map, and even though I blew it up and tried to get into detail, I think I had a hard time reading it and following it and so on. What I did pick up from it, though, is you seem to take a very linear approach to things and take things by method. And I would challenge you to really try to find the patterns within those methods. Instead of just saying this method does this, this, and this, what does it have in common with other methods, and what patterns are you seeing? So that's a challenge to kind of take this and boil it down to more detailed what the patterns are. And if you're going to stick with this mind map, then you need to be able to find a way to talk about it creatively and walk somebody through what you're thinking with it. So I would say, references were there, but I didn't see them called out in the draft. So I think it's a good start. You got a lot more work to do. And I'm done.
Great. Thanks, Doug. And if you want to head on over to the chat room and if you all could, what are your reactions to what you heard, and what questions do you have that would be helpful? And go ahead and take the conversation a little bit further while we go to our next mentor, which is John Spalding. And there we go. Here you go, John, take it away.
All right, hi everybody. Can everyone see the screen that is up, which is Vanessa Gagner's draft?
Yeah.
Yep, see it. Yep, see it.
Great. Okay, so Google, yeah, does. I put the comments in here, and Steve, I can share this link with Vanessa after I'm done too. But Google puts the comments in a little bit differently, so I kind of got to scroll to the bottom of the comments, and then I'll close it. But I looked at Vanessa's, and I'll just scroll to the bottom of the comment. So first, the executive summary was a good start. Make sure in there that you're discussing all the elements of the paper in a nice, concise form. Make sure to discuss the design elements for whole systems change, and then walk your reader through just a little bit about the process that you use for your affinity diagramming. And then we had the table of contents. I noted up here in the table of contents that you have to make sure that you put in the application section from the instructions, so make sure you have that in there. And it comes right here right before conclusion, I believe. I mentioned some of this before when I was doing my introduction. I like the comments that you give in the introduction. I believe it's on page 7. So in the process, I'm sorry, right here about using graphic facilitation method. I would just encourage you to add some more. So you talked about some options and ideas that come into play in the workforce. So give us some of those as examples and use that to reference when you're doing your writing. You had some good discussion in there about after that how you wanted to pick a method that fit most of the bucket areas, but then you had further learnings while you were going through the process. And it also, I think that you are V in the chat room, so it sounds like you've already made some deeper connections with the work based on the feedback that you've already been hearing from some of the other panelists. So I think that's good. But then overall, this section is well written. The affinity diagram section is also well written. It was personal and it flowed well. I said I would like to see some specific hints or examples from your process as they relate to the different methods and to the design elements. So you did a good job at outlining your process and stating what the affinity diagram, how it took shape, and now it just needs a little bit more detail and talk about some of the things that were on the Post-it notes. And then we go down to the mind map section. That's just the introduction. I said the mind map introduction was good. I was looking for the suitcase, said it must not be there yet, but then I found it. So it was on a separate document that was emailed to me. And then we have your pictures, and kind of like what everybody else said, wasn't able to read it on there, and then the paper didn't have any of that stuff bulleted out except for the mind map picture itself. I'm going to go to that next. So as far as the paper's going, it's coming together, and I can send you this link with the document in the comment. And then this is the initial stage of the mind map, and there are some bullets that are left. I'm assuming that those will get filled in a little bit further, or I'm not sure if they were not done or not. And then I just have one comment. I said I like the luggage and vacation metaphor that you started with in your paper. I would urge you to keep exploring that. I would think, when I saw this, I would consider other pictures that relate to the bucket areas or items in that section. So like when I thought of journey and using your luggage or your vacation metaphor, I would think of journey as how you're going to get there, or like a road with a Volkswagen bus or a Dodge station wagon, or whatever picture resonates with you. I would just consider that. These are fine. When I thought of system, it would be, what is the actual organization, or what is the group that's going to be going on vacation or going on this journey. So I would just consider that and see if anything else bubbles up as far as changing some of those pictures around. But as far as the elements that are in there, I think those are lined up pretty good. I'd like to talk a little bit offline and see if some of them might fit better in other areas. But as far as seeing your work and you understanding the different methods and how they're coming together, I think that you're on track. So you just need to take this feedback and take what you've learned for tonight and take your stuff to the next level. And then the other person I had is going to email me his offline. He had an uploading issue with his work.
Okay, thank you,
So
John.
those are mine. Yep.
Great. So we've got our Kim and Kim. So we'll go with Kim Kirkham and Kim. Let me find you here.
Rose. Am I in there?
Yes, as Kaufman. So, gotcha. So there you go. Thank you, Kim. You got it. Take her away.
Okay, let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yep. See you right now. This popped up.
Okay. Okay. This is Grove's paper. I think she might have two different names on this. The cover page and then the executive summary. I was going to go through the paper and make grammatical and other changes, and I decided it was too early in the paper to worry about that stuff. The executive summary is a nice start. It's a nice template. It looks as though she's got to still come up with her own approaches besides the other ones that were studied. And in the executive summary, I'm not sure if she just wasn't ready to get as detailed. Sometimes it does take a lot for certain pieces of this paper come together at different times for different people. And I know personally, I actually could not get my executive summary done and didn't want it to slow me down, so I did it in the end instead of the beginning. So I'm wondering if she did the same thing here. But the methods, it looks like I said a great template. It almost sounds as if you're grasping the assignment here and kind of giving yourself, so far throughout the paper, giving yourself the interpretation of the assignment more so than, or an understanding of the assignment more so than your interpretation of what these elements mean. And I didn't see the design elements listed here yet, but if we go on to the actual paper, we have cover page, and then right here, page 4 is where we get started, introducing whole systems collaboration and change. I really like that beginning and introduction on page 4. It's a great beginning. There could be more details added, and I know that I can see from your thought process here that as you move forward, you still need to put in the design elements, the system, purpose, journey, values, evidence, and language model. That will also, if you briefly mention them here, that's one thing, but then throughout the paper, it will help beef up your paper and give you the details that are necessary and needed to collectively get this underway. When we get to why the need, I see that you kind of talk about the survival. Mostly it's geared towards survival. I'm not sure if that's your only thought on this or if you've explored other thoughts. My thought when I was reading it was you may want to consider personal examples of maybe you can relate to. For me, it was more like reaching efficiencies or greater production or going from good to great, those types of things. So you may just want to explore that as you're moving forward. And there are some grammatical things, like I said, as well as we get moving forward on this, but maybe just use some examples here. And more meat and potatoes is what I said. I don't have the comments in the document, but I'm willing to send them to you and have them handwritten. And right here, using whole systems, we need to definitely give more details in here and add in more examples and how do you relate to this? When it's applied or it's utilized, kind of tidy this area up a little bit more. There's a kind of a long run-on sentence on the second sentence. I think this is the paragraph where, excuse me, using a period after the word environment here, and then you can say, and using whole systems, collaboration, and change to keep relevant and breathing. Just kind of separate these sentences or make them two different points rather than one long sentence and point. That's just one example that I could give you. I know it's a rough draft. And then let's talk about some of the methods. That's an excellent grasp on the assignment. Like I said, incorporate some details, using the methods or examples or applying them, or how do you relate to them? What's your relationship to them? How do you feel them and touch them and all that stuff? Have you seen that, you know, some of these appreciative inquiry? How do you relate to that? Where have you seen it used, or where would you like to see it used? Future search, like open space. Why do you like open space? You can just go ahead and fill in some of those details on each and every one and make them their own sentences, and as you expound on your paper here. Let's see, let's talk about, excuse me, point. Okay, so the point, you have it laid out. I see you structuring and planning and grasping the concepts. I'd be interested in seeing you flesh out and expanding on the examples and actually using the methods and the elements in your paper. As I said, I didn't see the system purpose journey values listed there yet. It is a great start. I feel that you will work it through by adding those elements, and as you advance through it, overall it looks like you're working through this process, and it almost looks kind of unique as some kind of teaching approach, whether it's teaching yourself or teaching somebody else. I don't know if that was your strategy on purpose or not. If you're trying to teach it as you learn it, that's kind of a unique and different approach, but it's still a valuable piece. And I would like to see the added details as you finalize your stuff. The feelings of uncertainty in the end as we go past the jelly-filled, and here the affinity diagram, mind map, application, conclusion, those are important to obviously do. I put something about benefits in the end, the benefits of using my personal approach, because you're kind of using the research, and then you're using your own, as you stated in the executive summary, you're using your own analysis and interpretation. So making sure you do touch on that in your conclusion or your application here, or application and benefits. Excuse me again. And then the feelings of uncertainty and confusion that you stated in here obviously won't need to be in the paper, but it is something everybody goes through. It's normal. It's completely okay to feel that way. And I think you're on the right track, and that is part of the process, and you are actually learning more than you realize at this time. And then here, your affinity diagram is very creative and artsy, but it doesn't have, I can't read anything. I think there's words in there. I can't read it, but as long as you can, and as long as your final draft, there's some form of where people can see it, that would be great in the end. But overall, like you say, it's a great start. It looks like a template. It looks like it could be a teaching strategy. And I think you're grasping the concept. Now you just need to fill in a lot of the details and how you relate to those things. And that's my only person that I had to review.
Great, thank you. And and if you could head on over to the chat room and get some reflections from your mentee, okay, as well as answer some questions. And I think there's already been discussion going on. if we could continue the conversation in the chat Zoom group, that would be great. I know in terms of our time, this is very important, so we got one more to go. And again, thank you everybody for staying on. I think the learning is really important, and so that's why I'm letting it go. And it's obviously being recorded for those that have to leave. And for our mentors, thank you for staying on as long as you are. And I might ask you for a few things for those of you that are able to still stay on. However, if you have to go, I totally understand. You can just pop in and say, hey, gotta go. And we'll just say goodbye real quick and ask you for some parting words. We have one more person, and then we'll do a wrap-up, and then we're going to go and follow up with the method assignment process. So let me turn it over to Kim Fleshman. And let's see, here was Kim, the presenter. And hi, Kim. You might want to just say hi, and in the process of giving your feedback, talk a little bit about what your approach is, why, and to change who you are, and also any tips and advice on just getting the most out of this assignment while you're in the process of giving this feedback.
Hi. Well, to get the most out of it, would it be terrible to say having a drink while doing it is helpful? I found that
absolutely.
Just slowing down and relaxing and gathering your thoughts and looking for the patterns was definitely helpful. And in the end, I found how much it truly related to my values at that time in my life. And I think certain values stay with people, of course, all the way through their lives, but I think that other values can kind of go up and down in priority. And so it's possible maybe even if someone did this paper, 10 years from now, they might not come up with quite the same results that they are today. The first person that I looked at was Margie Swartz, and she has quite a bit of the paper fleshed out and completed. She has all these significant elements, obviously, that are asked for within this document. I do like the introduction here, the quote. Introduction was well thought out, and I did appreciate some good reading there. I wondered if you noticed the patterns that you pick out and that you say, that how they relate to your values and how that's going to come back to your final product. I like that you see the importance of the mind mapping and talk about that within your paper. I do think you could flush out the values and process and the different system and the different categories a little further. But I did enjoy reading your document, and I do enjoy your pictures here at the end. It's not like each picture is exactly, as people were saying, legible or readable, but I think that if you blew this picture up, it would work quite well. You probably could change your Word document into a landscape view, put in a page break, and then put in your picture, and it would be perfect. I did like the idea here where you're using the lines to attempt to look for more patterns, because with each of these steps or pictures that you're showing, we can better understand your thought process. I thought this one was really good because I could blow this one up quite a bit to look at it in here. I like how you, in the end here, she's color-coded her Excel tables. And this made it a lot easier to understand from the Post-it notes and what was going on within the document, where she's getting her ideas and so forth. And the next person that I have is Zachary Shope. So there were 3 different documents for Zachary. There's these affinity buckets, and I have to say that, you know, your handwriting really isn't all that bad. I could get a definite sense of what you're saying and what you're trying to get across here. I could, yeah, you take good notes, you got good points. I could follow along easily. I would include maybe these in your paper at the end in your appendices. Even if it's not completely legible, just to, you know, size-wise, just to give us an idea of your thought process, you could put even 3 small pictures on one page and just change, you know, your margins a little wider so you have some more room so that people can see and pick out which ones that you felt said, you know, the most about you getting to your final creation. On your actual paper, you already have your executive summary completed, and again, this is another paper where a lot of it has already been completed and written and fleshed out. You obviously have everything that Dr. Katie has asked for here. Just trying to, I did like your comment here, down here, about carpe diem, or to seize the day. I do agree with you that many things today are just that way. Everyone's kind of for themselves. I liked the fact that within the document you have like this orangey red color, like you're allowing the reader to know, well, I'm still going to flush this out, or I'm going to insert something here, have to say more about that. So that made it very helpful while reviewing this particular document to see those kinds of insertions that you are planning to do. I would flesh out a little more about the process, what you did to get to your mind map. I'd add a table, some pictures, bullet points, something like that about it at the end here. Evidence and values could also be discussed a bit further, maybe commenting on what you realized as you saw the common themes between the change methods that you reviewed and their info in these categories. I think flesh it out a bit, or even how it will affect your method would be good. This is your actual mind map that I got to review. This is great to get to see your sketching and your thought process again. I do appreciate that. I think to make it easier to read, a little more legible, whether it be downloading a software to use or even just color coding things. For example, this raw sketch, you know, you have off the bubble model. It's kind of hard to read the different things and which ones are exactly with model. So maybe if you made everything in model, for example, red, and everything in system blue, etc. Just another way to kind of flesh that out a bit and make sure you attach it again to the end of your main paper. But I did enjoy reading both of your papers and appreciate your time.
Great, thank you. And we have gone through everybody. I don't think we're missing anybody. Is that right? Double check. Okay. I'm going to bring the screen back over to me. And again, thank you everybody for your feedback. In the chat room, we've got, show my screen. We've got a lot of comments and themes. One of the themes is people are sharing their favorite relaxation drink. Others are some themes in the feedback. And what I'd like to do is just take a minute and just get some thoughts on what out there from what you all are seeing. I asked some for some themes. And again, also for Kim Fleshman, if you have questions for her, you can pose those to her as well. What are some of your takeaways? What are 1 or 2 things you're going to do to complete your mind map assignment based on what you're hearing? V says creativity. JJ says his one question for this paper is how far to go in being me, but still remain a professional paper. That's a good question. I think that I would go as far as you can in being you, and professional has to do with, are you describing things thoughtfully, thoroughly, completely, and professionally means grammar, and are you providing the visuals and formatting and so forth. So as long as you're describing it in a way that adheres to those basic writing standards and you're elaborating and explaining things well, go as far as you want. And I'm totally cool with that. I think this is all about you really expressing yourself and showing your understanding of the patterns as in terms of what they mean for you. So if you feel like you have not pushed your envelope or your edge, I'd invite you, JJ, to go to that edge and go a little bit further. Kim says that she believes all that's equally important, and you're focusing more on the process, the system, and the elements. Definitely says be more clear in some of the thoughts, make better distinctions between engagement and involvement, and proofread, of course. Expand more on the why, I thought or felt something. I particularly liked Sarah and some of the other folks asking you to go a little bit more in elaborating in a way so we got to know you better and what you care about and what's important to you. And so to really allow this process to bring out what is your hidden or your inner process that's embedded in you, and it's bringing out your own wisdom. And I think that's what Sarah was getting at. And V needs a tiara, and JJ is going to bring it for her. And let's see what else. Anything else in terms of some key points or takeaways, or what are you going to do on your assignment? Okay, so we've got Kim and Terry still here, and let's see here, and John. So John may have gone over to the office hours just to go check in if anybody went over there. And I don't know, John, if you're still here, if you want to tell us if anybody's over there.
I'm still here.
No one's gone over there? Okay, good. So we haven't missed out on anything. Okay, no worries there. So Kim, John, let's start with John. John, what are some patterns as we wrap up here? And we're going to talk about the method experience assignment, and then we're going to wrap up right after that. So we'll just take a little bit further. But John, any final comments on suggestions as we go for any themes or patterns you saw?
Yeah, a couple patterns is expressing your individual creativity and kind of pushing that edge that Steve talked about. That bubbled up a couple times, especially earlier. The second one is that this was there was a little bit of a discussion about this being a public review, and I hope that you all got out of it that we were all here to give you feedback on your work to help push the envelope and help make your connections to not only the design elements for whole systems change, but for the different methods, dive a little deeper. So hopefully that will give you the encouragement and some food for thought on how to make that happen. So individual creativity, and then just kind of understanding that we've done it, and that we're looking for you guys to take it and go further. So keep it up. And then Vanessa or anyone, I put my email address in there, so if you want to send me some of your work to look over, I'll be more than happy to do that. Steve, did we lose you? Are you still there?
I'm sitting here talking to you all. I put myself on mute every time so I don't stop talking. I said, Kim, how about you? And then I said, oh, well, I guess Kim's not there. So how about you, Kim? Calling Kim Kirkham, and then Johnny said, are you still there? So, hey. So, Kim, just maybe a sentence or two on a key point or a theme that you want to encourage them to focus on as they go forward, based on themes you saw.
Fleshman or Kirkham? Or
Fleshman and then Kirkham.
okay. Well, I would also encourage anyone who wants to feel free to email me. I'd be happy to review your paper or talk to you about the assignment. I think it's important to make sure that you talk about how these items that you've pulled out from your affinity diagram resonate with you, and how that's going to work in your method, so that you can help the reader relate to, it gives a little insight about yourself. And I think that's important for everyone else to understand you a little bit better.
And Kim Kaufman, any closing words?
Yeah, I would just say what helped me the most was, hopefully it helps you too, is how can you relate to it in your own personal life, whether it's at home or at work or whatever. I really honestly just felt a major connection with what they, the elements going into this. And I was almost thinking about it. From my world, it's easy to interpret because it's assessing, there's a nursing process that we use, and it's assessing and diagnosing. And I know we have in OD, you assess the situation and you diagnose organizational issues. So I kind of took that approach to it. And it's just whatever way you can tweak it to make it make sense for you. You're doing, you're grasping it more than you think you are at the time. You'll look back and see that. So, like the other said, use your creativity, have fun with it, and make it your own, and just be confident that you're doing something right.
Right. Thank you. And Terry, how about you?
Thank you, Steve. So 2 tips that I have. First is find your own voice. And what I mean by that is find a way to speak succinctly about what you really believe in and express that in a way that really draws people into your world so they can start to see what it is that you find special about these methods and how they interrelate. And then second is be comfortable exploring the goo. It may feel frustrating at times pulling the things apart and finding the themes and putting them back together, but it really does serve a purpose that will take you great places throughout the rest of the EMOD program. And now I'm done, Steve.
Thank you. And thanks for your time. All of you that are here mentoring and providing feedback and so forth. I'm really aware that we've gone over time, and I'm recognizing that we're going to need to make this session in the future an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it just is what it is. And so because the feedback is so rich and so helpful that we just really need to stay here with that. And so with that, you all can hang with us if you'd like. For those of you that have to go, I understand. We're going to talk a little bit about the method teams, and I'm going to get that process flowing as much as I can and see if we can get people started so we can come into the first residency ready for our method, just to go with our method team, sort of people thinking about that. There's a part of me that thinks that it needs to be even delayed, and so I might even put it out there for you all in the chat room. I'm going to share it with you and then ask you all if you think that we should go ahead and start getting you all connected around the method you're going to focus on. But essentially, here's the process. You're finishing your mind maps. You should be starting to think about what method do you feel that you want to dive into. And I'm going to give you a limited opportunity in terms of, I got a few that we're going to focus on. And but essentially, you'll form into the teams, and each of you will focus on a methodology, and you'll bring that experience to our learning in the second residency, or the last one. And then we will mix the teams up so you'll actually become consulting teams with different methods being represented, which will then flow into you providing your proposals on the second weekend. So with that, let me show you what we're looking at. This is the methods that we'll be using. And we've got some people here that will be that have made themselves available and will be available to talk with the teams, pending their schedules and so forth. And in graphic facilitation, it'll be Karen James, and it may be another person that I have. But essentially, these are people in the field that are willing to talk with you, that are experts in these areas and are well known. But essentially, we'll be using these 4 methods during the second weekend, not the first, the second. And what you will do is you'll design and put on an experience for us that facilitates our learning using the method. So you won't just kind of give a demonstration. We will actually use these methods to take our learning deeper as part of our weekend experience. And in the process, you will be learning how to facilitate it. We'll be using the experience to take our learning deeper at the same time. And so we're looking for people to form into teams. Now we have, I believe we're going to need to have 2 or 3 per team. And we have the opportunity to do 1 webinar or maybe another online webinar in which a group will put something on online. So with that, in the chat room, what is the best way, in your perspective? Do we just tonight have you all go ahead and pick your methods and see where the dust falls? Do we let you all think about it, put a doodle out, and you all sign up under each one, and I'll limit the number of people that can sign up, and once it's full, it's full. What are your thoughts out there? Try to pick them tonight, or give you some time through a doodle to pick them over the next week. And I'm happy either way, and the way we do it tonight is we would just use the chat room, get the people that are here to pick them and do that, or we do the doodle. Shep says doodle, and I'm not sure what GF means, V. Shep said would be fair for everyone. He says I'm here. He says she wants to do graphic facilitation. I'm providing this is the list right here, Stephanie. You will pick one of these 4 to specialize in. And then we'll have 1 webinar, polarity management, and based on the size of the class, I believe that's all we can do. I don't think we can do more than 5 techniques based on the size of the class. Stephanie says she wants to pick it tonight because we are here. Shep says he wants to doodle because it'd be fair for everyone. B says she wants graphic facilitation. That's a few people. What about the rest of you? What do you all think? Okay, so people are actually starting to say what they want. And then we'll just work with the group to get the rest of the people that aren't here to kind of pick and fill in. So we will be, here's what we got. We're limited to 3 people per technique. And we'll be, again, the in-class experience. So we have, in terms of, like, for example, graphic facilitation, we have V, Vanessa. I'm not sure I spelled it right. We've got Chris. And we've got, I'm thinking, so Margie, you got to pick that. Catherine says open space. You're going to love doing that. And Shep says open space. And Margie says graphic facilitation. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, you've been reading about these methods here, Stephanie. So you've been reading about appreciative inquiry and doing your mind map, World Cafe, open space, and graphic facilitation. So which one do you, Stephanie, do you want to specialize in or focus on and learning, taking a deeper dive into and learning a lot more about? And that'll be the method experience assignment. That's the team assignment that we do next after the mind maps. I'm not sure if that answers. I hope that answers it for you. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, World Cafe, you're going to love David Isaac, Stephanie. He's such a wonderful guy. Here. Okay, best as appreciative inquiry. You're going to love that. I mean, these are such great methods. You're going to, how we use them is awesome. And Kim. Okay. Okay, World Cafe Stephanie and JJ on World Cafe. Am I missing anybody? Because we'll get everybody else in. We'll kind of see which one they pick at this point. So we've got Beth, Stephanie, JJ, Catherine, Shep, Vanessa, Chris, Margie. Can you all help me? Am I missing anybody that's here tonight that has not said they wanted something? I'm looking in the chat room. V has quit, so she got in and she's in and out. Yeah. Am I missing anybody? Can you all tell me that I've got everybody so far? And then we'll just have to round out people that aren't here right now. Is that everybody? Judson. Yeah, Judson, what do you pick? And Shep, take care. Have a good night. Judson, are you still here? Okay. Okay, so not seeing Judson in here. Yeah. Just let us know you're not ready to pick, or he might have stepped away. So at this point, this is where we are. I'll send this out, and then we'll let people first come, first serve get in on these teams here, and then I'll take it from there with everybody in terms of how we get the teams, just getting you starting to think. Now, I'm really thinking that we may need to just get them formed, and like we have a planned draft due, and it might be just a basic draft, which again it is a draft. So maybe just getting the groups talking to each other. I'll think about how to facilitate that for you all as we go and get ready for the second weekend. But I think with that, we should be done. And it's been a long night, and again, a very productive one. So as you check out, how are you as you're leaving? With a Gestalt one-word or two-word checkout, and then I'll head over to the Hangout just for a minute, just to check in if anybody has any real-time questions or conversation they want to have. So let's just do a quick checkout, and I'll just go through here, just a kind of a one-word or a sticker, bumper sticker checkout from you all, from those that are still here, and I'll start with John. And for those of you out there, if you could just hit and type it in the chat room.
Inner creativity.
Okay, Kim?
World Cafe rocks.
Yes, you're good. She'll be a great mentor to the team that does World Cafe.
I am excited to meet the class in June.
Steve, I say I'm grateful for you all staying and hanging in there. This is important learning, and so I really appreciate you all staying in and staying beyond the full time, so we can keep the learning going. And with that, Beth and Chris and JJ and Judson and Catherine and Margie and Stephanie and Vanessa, if you could just do a little checkout, one or two words, and then I'll head on over to the Hangout. So creatively tired is V, curiosity, Beth sleepy, and I think that's about it. We're nervous about graphics. I look forward to it though. Yep, I'm going to give you all a chance to be superstars in graphic facilitation. It'll be fun to see what y'all come up with. So, excellent. Well, thanks everybody. Have a great night, and I'm going to head on over to the chat room.